Hello, this is the afternoon of May 2nd, 2021. I'm Nick Parton, and I'm presently sitting at the end of the public right-of-way known as Bruce Lane in Washington County, Idaho. I have completed another video that addresses the prescriptive right-of-way issues and the necessity of the county, which is the controlling body on determining what maintenance, if any, is done to public right-of-ways. Some of the issues that need to be addressed, such as drainage, positively identifying the easements. The easements on a prescriptive right-of-way is presumed to be 50 feet. They can be made wider by acquiring additional land or whatever is necessary to accommodate the road or drainage issues. I'm not going to go through this full explanation that I did in the other video, and I would encourage you to look at that video if you have desire to know more. I'm primarily making this video as a reverse travel on the same right-of-way, so to document the condition of the road as of this time. This first part of the road, which is more than a half mile, the county, when they added this system in 2002, said it was a half mile, but it's probably more than that. I will document it on my odometer just to see. So we're at 177.0. This road goes to the Horton property, which is 160 acre, and this is the only public access to this property. So under Idaho state statutes, the county cannot abandon this right-of-way, because the statute prohibits the county from abandoning roads that would leave property without direct access to public roads, or in other words, landlock the property. Some people say as a side, well, the county commissioners could convey this right-of-way to private individuals, but that really isn't a legal option. They can, in cases where they can abandon right-of-ways, the right-of-way, typically the land under the road goes to the owner of the title owner of the land where the road existed. Any rights to public access or individuals do not go with it. For example, on this road, if this public right-of-way was, if the county did abandon it, then the owners of the Horton property would likely have to go into litigation to get a affirmation of what right-of-way they'd have. The other, and their right-of-way, even though as a county road and state statute and Idaho State Supreme Court's action says that the presumed right-of-way width would be 50 feet, and that allows include drainage and so forth. If it became a private right-of-way, the prescriptive use and extent of rights that go with that easement are not the same as the county, and it's one of the more litigated issues in the state of Idaho is private easement right-of-ways. They cover such issues as how wide the road is, how many gates can be put in them. There's been litigation over people saying that the easement is limited to the owners of the property, not to the public that may wish to visit them. There's all kinds of issues. So in general, it is better to keep a public right-of-way open, because the statutes do describe what is allowed and what the general aspects of the right-of-way is. I don't know whether it makes a difference in the video if you watch the other one, but we're going downhill here, and this is a fairly significant grade. This part road prior to 2002 would wash out. snow melt and runoff would follow this road and wash out down through the middle of the road. Now the county since 2002 did grade this, and they have crowned it and put some borrow pits, so it has not washed out since then, to my knowledge. I mean, they may have been minor, because the county does come up and grade this road to remove any ruts or damage. But I forgot to check whether that was a half mile, because we passed the corner where they extended that road. But we're at a half mile now. So that extension of the road was actually a little less than a half mile, so, of what the county maintained prior to 2002 and what they maintained after. Again, this is a cattle guard that was put in by Washington County at the request of the owners, because it is a county road, and one of the county ordinances require that the cattle guards be requested by the owner and installed by the county, and I believe the cost is borne by the county. So this road goes down. An issue with this road, as far as the safety concerned, is that this gully next to the roadway's wide enough, but how they slope the road from one side to the other could be a significant risk factor as far as being driving on a slick road and where a car may end up if it slid. I don't know whether the camera shows that, but there is gravel shows up in the road, so a lot of this road probably has adequate base, or may. It's hard to tell because it has been a seasonal agricultural access road. There are a couple spots below here that basically in the wintertime and spring prohibit you from getting up this far in a normal motorized vehicle. So I do know back when Roy Nelson had his house up here, that the stories that I were told, it wasn't uncommon that he would borrow a tractor from the person who lived at the house at the base of the road to drive up here in the wintertime because he couldn't get through in his pickup. But if you're going back into the 50s and 60s, his pickup would have been a two-wheel drive and with chains at best. So the capability of the cars today and what they were then is not really comparable. You can see a little erosion on the road there where the waters ran down, but still nothing severe since the last grading. I don't know whether the county graded this last year, but I do believe they were up here the year before. This culvert here was put in 3 or 4 years ago, or replaced 3 or 4 years ago by the county. This road meanders here, but the logical thing to do before a person spends road base here would be to get agreement and move this bank out of the road and straighten this road so that you'd have a clearer line of vision and safer travel. So you can see if this road comes right back around, so it could basically go straight. It wouldn't involve the adjoining landowner losing any use of land because it's not fenced in, so that they could use it anyway. Again, this corner would require a little bit of fence removal, but you're talking about maybe 400 square feet maximum that would be taken out of pasture fence that the owner would use as far as utilization, but it would substantially improve the access and safety of this road. You cut this, so you widen it out, and this stretch here is part of the road that becomes muddy and impassable and muddy, and part of you have drainages come across and just basically back up and flood the road. There are no culverts under this road through this section here, or if they are, they're long since buried by widening of the road or silt. So this area, the right side of the road here, the bank could be cut back and a barrel installed, and then a culvert put in at a location that would drain the land and was agreeable to the landowner to the left of where the water would be discharged. It's an important aspect that whatever improvements are made are not made in a way that they increase the damage to other land. For instance, like here, this washes out through here, it's drain, and comes down this drain. There's significant water for a short period of time that comes down and crosses this road. There is no culvert in this road, so the water runs over it. If you're going to consider to make this passable to more months of the year, that drainage has to be addressed, and it should be addressed before any consideration is given to adding a road base. 3 or so years ago, the county was in the process of adding these culverts and realigning the road in anticipation that there may be a road development agreement whereby a private individual would share in the cost of upgrading this road so that they would have a road that they could access a house on a year-round basis if they were to build up there. So basically on the culvert issues, there's this road from where it's maintained now is about 1 3/4 miles, and there is only 2 culverts across the road. The rest of the road, with the drainage is not right, it runs over the road. And this used to be a single pass road, but one of the things the county did do, they added a borrow pit, and in doing so they basically unearthed a spring, a seasonal spring, so this part of the road stays wet and it soaks into the road. It didn't used to do that before they cut into that bank. Finding these little seasonal springs is not that uncommon, but the water could drain down that side of the road if it's properly sloped. At this property, there's a culvert that the county put in 2 or 3 years ago, and in the process of cutting, you can see the cut in the road and the hill, and trying to make that slope more gradual, they've moved dirt down this way and they've built the road up higher over this road over years, so that having a borrow pit on the road draining to here doesn't happen, and that the water ponds up on the left side of the road until it gets deep enough to run over the road. And if this road is built up without providing for that drainage, it's just increasing the water that will pond up and damage it as that property, and it will also be detrimental to the road base because that water will stand and saturate the base. This is a drainage issue that is the county's responsibility and needs to be taken care of as a part of, or as a minimum, before any improvements are done to improve the road surface. All the drainage issues, the location of the actual easement so that the landowners are not adversely impacted, need to be addressed and resolved before any improvements to a county road like this are done. And this applies to many county roads. This is an issue that growth has been sporadic in the county, but recently we've seen people moving from other parts of the country and out of the more populated areas vital to these areas, and it will become more relevant. This is an issue that as a minimum the county should set up a protocol where they have a development agreement with private individuals that explains what will be required of them, and that declares that these are public right-of-ways, they do not gain a private interest in them, and that the maintenance is still at the determination of the county, and then if they want more maintenance they would need to enter into an agreement with the county that clarifies what that is. This is another road that's significantly, I wouldn't say it's impassable in the wintertime, because you can get it up here with a chain tractor, and if you get a good enough run at it you can get enough momentum that in a four-wheel drive you can make it up here, but it can be a challenge. Again, it would possibly be a challenge for if the county was to go to providing snowplow services in the wintertime, and it would be a challenge for an individual to plow that. So now we're back onto the part of Bruce Lane that has been maintained on an all year round residential full maintenance road by the county since 1997. With that, this concludes this video, and as I referenced, there should be another video on this road with comments about the right-of-way going the other direction. Thank you.